Galveston, Texas. A coastal city once known as Wall Street of the South, once a wealthy, bustling, and brightly lit place. In the early 20th century, the people here wanted to create a symbol, a magnificent, luxurious hotel, comparable to New York or Chicago. In 1911, the Galvez Hotel was born. The 9-story building, Beaux-Arts architecture, facing directly to the Gulf of Mexico. Americans called it the Queen of the Gulf, a place for the upper class. Party, jazz, glamorous balls. But few people know its foundation was built on a giant, invisible cemetery. The 8th of September, 1900, a terrible storm swept through Galveston. Waves more than 4 meters high. Wind blew off roofs. The whole city was submerged. When the storm dissipated, more than 6,000 people died. The worst natural disaster in American history. Bodies lay scattered on the streets, in homes, and on beaches. Too many bodies. People could not afford to bury them. They were forced to bury them right under the soil along the shore. What later became the foundation of the Galvez Hotel. Of the hotel's hundreds of rooms, Room 501 was the most famous. Not because it was luxurious, but because it was cursed. It is said that decades ago, a young woman rented this room. Her husband was a sailor. Every day, she sat by the window, looking out to sea, waiting for him to return. But then, the bad news came. Her husband's ship was missing at sea. No one survived. The pain was overwhelming. The woman could not bear the truth. She hanged herself in room 501. From then on, guests staying here continued to encounter strange things. Sobbing in the night, strange footsteps in an empty room. The window opened. The curtains fluttered despite being locked. A visitor in 1950 wrote in his diary, "I woke up in the middle of the night. The chair in the room had been pulled away from the table. I was sure I had placed it properly. And I heard someone sobbing right next to my ear. But when I turned on the light, no one." A housekeeping staff member swore she heard a woman's voice whisper,
"Help me! Help me!"
The sound came from the locked room. When I opened it, just a cold, empty room. Many other guests described the feeling of having their hand grabbed in the middle of the night. A cold, tight hand, making them suffocate with fear. But when I turned on the light, there was only the bed. It was not just a sound or an illusion. Some phenomena leave real traces. The TV in the room turns on by itself in the middle of the night. The air conditioner changes temperature, even though no one has touched it. The maintenance staff once had to come and check because the window opened by itself several times in the same night, even though they were tightly closed. Someone claimed to have taken a picture of a blurry figure by the window of room 501, a white figure hovering with long hair, looking straight out to sea. For many years, the hotel management was forced to stop renting out room 501. Too many complaints. Too many people ran away in the middle of the night. Some housekeeping staff even refused to enter. They said they felt suffocated, sad, as if someone was standing close behind them, staring. But it was the rumors of hauntings that made the hotel more famous. People come not only to relax, but to see ghosts. Some people think it's all just a collective hallucination. A room with too many rumors will make the visitor's mind easily haunted. The sounds and the wind and the waves turn into crying. The shadows cast on the wall turn into human shapes. But how to explain the doors that open by themselves? The objects that are moved, the invisible hands that squeeze in the middle of the night. Today, the hotel has changed its name to Grand Galvez. It has been renovated, more luxurious than ever. But room 501 still has a scary reputation. The hotel also organizes ghost tours at night. The tour guide leads visitors through the hallway, stops in front of the door of room 501, recounts the tragedy of the woman waiting for her husband. Some brave visitors ask to sleep here. Some people experience only silence. Some people run away at 3 a.m., swearing that they hear a woman screaming right next to their ears. Galveston was once engulfed in a deadly storm. Thousands of souls were buried beneath the ground. Perhaps the Galvez Hotel was never truly built on life. Tonight, if you go to the Grand Galvez, stand under the yellow light in front of room 501. Listen carefully. You may hear a cry from a century ago. Imagine you walk into a quaint spa resort in the middle of the Ozark Mountains, Arkansas. Gray limestone walls, long hallways, yellow light shining from the Gothic vaulted ceiling. People come here to relax, to heal, to find life again. But when night falls, you hear the clanking of metal in the basement, footsteps shuffle in the empty hallway, and faintly, the shadow of a nurse in white uniform pushing a stretcher past. Crescent Hotel and spa, a splendid resort hailed as the grand old lady of the Ozarks. But people also call it by another name. The Patient Cemetery, disguised as a hotel. In 1886, the Crescent Hotel was inaugurated, built with local limestone. The majestic building sits on a hilltop overlooking the town of Eureka Springs. This place is famous for its hot mineral water, believed to be miraculous, curing all diseases. Rich businessmen, artists, politicians flock to it. Lavish parties, dancing under crystal lights, bustling music. Crescent quickly became known as the grand old lady of the Ozarks. But the glamour did not last long. By the 1930 seconds, the hotel fell into the hands of someone who would forever stain it with blood. In 1937, a man named Norman Baker bought the hotel. He claimed to be a doctor. He wore a white coat, spoke eloquently, and promised a cure for cancer. Thousands of desperate patients came. They sold all their possessions, spent all their money, hoping for a miracle. But the truth was a nightmare. Baker's cure consisted of injections of a purple solution, a mixture of salt water, castor oil, some unknown chemicals. It did nothing. It only made the patients suffer and deteriorate faster. The dying were locked in dark rooms, left to die slowly. Some bodies were hidden in the hotel's basement. Others were taken away at night. Baker was not just a fraud, he was a murderer. Hundreds of patients died in despair at the Crescent. When the hotel reopened, visitors began to tell strange stories. Second floor hallway. Guests saw the shadow of a tall, thin man in a white coat like a doctor. His figure was blurry. He walked out of the room and then disappeared right before their eyes. One traveler said, "I woke up in the middle of the night. There was someone standing at the end of the bed. It was a woman in a nurse's uniform, her hair tied back. She was pushing a stretcher, the hallway light shining on her pale face. But when I blinked, nothing." Baker's laboratory was once a basement. Soft moans, the clanging of metal like a surgical tray. Some claim to have seen the patient's shadow, thin, shaved head, bandaged hands, shuffling through the darkness. It wasn't just visitors. Hotel staff were also terrified. A manager said, "I was checking the room, and I heard a long groan, like someone was about to die. I ran down to the basement, but it was empty. Just cold stone walls." A chef said he often saw shadowy figures standing in the kitchen at 3 a.m., even though it was locked. Some staff refused to work the night shift in the basement. They said there were too many unreleased souls there. For many years, people considered the haunting stories to be just rumors. But in 2019, a horrifying truth was revealed. When workers were digging to renovate the hotel garden, they discovered hundreds of glass jars containing human organs, tissue samples, skulls, and teeth. These jars were determined to be from the time Norman Baker ran the fake cancer hospital. The scene made many people shiver. Under the peaceful soil of the spa garden were the traces of unjust deaths. Despite its dark past, the Crescent Hotel still operates as a famous resort and spa. It hosts weddings, vacations, and especially haunted tours every night. A tour guide leads guests down the dark hallway into room 419, down to the cold basement. They tell the story of Norman Baker, the con man and murderer, and many visitors claim they saw something: dim lights, flashing shadows, moans that couldn't come from anywhere. Today, people call Crescent the most haunted hotel in America. Flashy on the outside, but hidden deep within each stone wall is the pain of hundreds of deceived patients. If you come to Crescent Hotel, try going down to the basement alone at midnight. When the dim lights flicker, you might hear a nurse calling a patient's name or a spirit whispering in your ear.
I was never cured.
One night in late November 1892, a young woman, beautiful but sad, sat alone by the window of room 3327. Outside, the waves of the Coronado Beach lapped. She waited for someone. She waited and waited, but no one. 5 days later, her body was found on the south steps of the hotel. A revolver was beside her. The police concluded suicide. But for more than 130 years, people have been asking, did she really kill herself, or was she murdered? And why, to this day, has her spirit not left the Hotel del Coronado? In 1888, the Hotel del Coronado opened in San Diego, California. It was one of the largest wooden hotels in the world. A masterpiece of Victorian architecture on the coast. It quickly became an icon, a place where lavish balls were held, hosting European royalty, politicians, and even U.S. presidents. Later, she appeared in the classic film Some Like It Hot with Marilyn Monroe. Hotel del Coronado was the pride of California. But in 1892, just 4 years after opening, it witnessed a tragedy that would haunt it forever. On the 24th of November 1892, 4-year-old Kate Morgan arrived at the hotel and checked into room 3327. The staff remembered clearly. She was beautiful, elegant, but always looked sad. Kate spent most of her time sitting alone, looking out at the sea, seemingly waiting for a man. There were rumors that she had arranged to meet her lover here. There was a theory that she was running away from a broken marriage. No one knew for sure, only that she arrived at Coronado in a heavy mood. 5 days later, on the morning of November 29, a hotel employee discovered Kate's body on the south stairs. She had been shot once in the head. A pistol lay nearby. The police quickly concluded suicide, but immediately many details did not match. The gun was not purchased by Kate. The wound did not match the shooting distance. Some witnesses claimed to have seen her arguing with a mysterious man earlier. Maybe Kate did not commit suicide. Maybe she was murdered. But there was no evidence, no convincing witnesses. The case fell silent. Immediately after her death, guests and staff began to report strange phenomena. Room 3327, where Kate had stayed. Items fell off shelves, even though no one had touched them. The chandelier shook, then went out. In the middle of the night, many people heard a woman sobbing right next to their ear. A tourist said, "I was sleeping when I heard a whisper right next to my pillow. I turned on the light. The room was empty, but on the bed sheet, there was a dent, as if someone had just sat there." The hallway near room 3327. Staff repeatedly saw the shadow of a woman in a black dress walking past the mirror. But when they turned back, there was only an empty hallway. People called Kate Morgan the beautiful stranger. She was not a star, not a politician, just an unknown woman. But her death made the entire hotel famous. Newspapers at that time carried the headline, "Beautiful Stranger Dies in Luxury Hotel." Kate Morgan's image spread throughout California. Her name was forever associated with Coronado. More than a century later, criminal researchers reviewed the records. Many theories have been put forward. Kate may have been cheated out of money by her lover and murdered to silence her, or she fell into depression and committed suicide. Some historians believe that Kate did not come alone, but the witness records were blurred to protect the hotel's reputation. But for more than 130 years, no one has solved the real question. How did Kate die? Hotel del Coronado is still operating, luxurious and magnificent. But in parallel with resort tourism, they also have ghost tours. Tourists are led to room 3327 to hear the story of Kate Morgan. Many people are curious and ask to stay. Some say that night they felt the blanket pulled back, the chair moved, and a woman whispering,
"Please, don't leave me."
Some people ran away in the middle of the night, panicked, and refused to return to the hotel. On paper, Kate Morgan died in 1892. But in the lobby of the Coronado Hotel, in room 3327, she was still there, sitting by the window, looking out at the night sea, waiting for a man who would never return. Maybe she would still wait, waiting forever.